Ironic Radio Network, 8-Bit Bros. That's number 8. Then Bros, one word. I strongly encourage you to stay tuned for that. And if you want, they also have a Facebook page and a much better live show. Anyway, 8-Bit Bros, 8 p.m., Ironic Radio Network.
It's 8 o'clock, and you know what that means.
Well, what up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Bros. It is election 2020 tonight. We will be following the polls. We have a very special guest for you, a very old friend of ours, as a matter of fact. He will be joining us to, talk some literature, and I'm sure get into some political discourse with us at some point. With that being said, not a kid-friendly show, adult language, adult content. Do the right thing, people. Put your kids in the closet.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
8-Bit Bros. Tuesday, election night, as Ren said, episode 395, election night. Yeah, we'll have a guest coming in. Center box gets a square.
What up, people?
Am I even going out here? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Solid.
Can't tell. I can't tell because I don't think the music went out. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, it went out. Solid.
Okay, left box. Okay, left box over here. Web to the right. 846 miles south. The one and only Thumping Loud.
Kansas just flipped.
Sitting in a swing state down there.
Yep. That's why I have all my arts and crafts on the walls, because I figure, if I'm going to be sitting in what's considered to be a swing state leaning liberal, I might as well go ahead and vibe into it, right?
Yeah, I didn't change my background tonight. We need to take care of that. Why?
It's a post-apocalyptic town. I mean, isn't that the vibe?
I can support Jersey Strong.
There you go.
I guess strong tonight. Flip this state. Make it go red. Yeah.
It looks like it's very blue behind you there, though, bud. Yeah, you should have got those buildings repainted if you wanted to flip the state.
You said everything's good coming over on the radio because I'm getting low levels.
I'm saying everything's good through Skype, like this.
Well,
call.
yeah, your audio is great. Your video,
your
has
video
a lot
just
to be
went.
desired.
Yeah, your video just went kind of shite, but
Mine?
as far as like Skype
Yep.
audio, everything as far as the stream video wise is good.
Can we get the check on Facebook and someone chime in?
I mean, Facebook, if there's one of you who could go to ironicradio.com.
I think we're good there.
And check and make sure that all of this is going well over on that end. Uh-oh.
You know what? Hold
There
on.
you go. You're getting whatever this is about to be.
Yeah, I got it. I checked. Okay, that sounds good. Good. All right, man. So here we are at election night.
Hey, no, I'm, all the presidential stuff going on and stuff. I just thought I'd tell you guys I have a huge wang.
All right.
It's nice. How big is it?
No, it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
No, I heard that guy like a week ago and thought I would copy it. That was pretty funny. How you guys doing tonight, though?
Doing
Good. How are you?
Good. So, I guess my thing is, today is a special day for America and all that crap. What do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? You think we're going to have riots no matter who wins?
we don't think.
Highly likely.
I think I can say this and speak for all of us. We don't really think there'll be any president deemed tonight. We think it's going to take weeks.
Oh yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you guys. So I guess let me rephrase it.
Mm.
No matter who wins the election,
Okay,
once it's announced,
Right.
once it's announced who won, do you think we're going to have some problems in all of our states and stuff?
If you're asking me, Web Boy, my personal opinion, the Democratic states will riot. Republican states don't seem to do that.
Well, see now,
Sure,
I have a little bit of a difference of opinion on this one. I think if we see Biden win, I think by the displays of what went on in like Texas of trying to like just not even let him campaign there and other stuff, I think the base may be a little riled up on the Trump side, and they may get a little feisty. It's possible, but I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see us remain calm, but I just don't know. Like everybody's so anxious now.
That's kind of my thing too. I believe that no matter who wins, the left extreme and the right extreme are just so on edge right now. They're just going to freak out.
Yeah,
Like
there's definitely a powder
I'm watching
keg.
the news right now.
Right.
Like I'm watching the news right now, and Florida might be going blue, and that's unheard of.
Oh, but
It's like-
Miami-Dade's the big one, and I think it's going to be a Biden landslide there. Unless,
for sure.
Unless more votes come in on the Trump side, but it looks that way. I mean, and that's big because that's the Mexican-Cuban fucking population of Florida, right there, Miami-Dade.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting seeing Texas
Yeah, they're
possibly going
still-
blue as well.
That's interesting.
I think in the end Texas will stay red, but Georgia is also another one. I mean, Atlanta obviously is turning blue, but you have Savannah, which is military. They'll probably stay red, but it's the numbers.
Yeah, it's the electoral college
I don't
votes. We know our vote don't matter. Vote's important.
I know, man.
But when you really think about it, it's the electoral colleges that decide an election. Even though we've had this conversation before on air, there are only a couple of times that the states sided opposite of the popular vote, but we just had that happen 4 years ago.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah, I think all things being equal. I mean, I'm not trying to get political with you guys on who you like and stuff because it's none of my business, and frankly, I don't care. You're American, so vote who you like, and you won't hear nothing from me. But during the last election, people just hated Hillary so much they voted for Trump. Now they don't have that hate, because they wanted Biden at that time. Now it's, those people who voted Trump that were truly Democrats at the first, are they going to stick with Trump or are they going to go with Biden now? That's, in my opinion, that's the question mark, and that's going to give up Ohio, Michigan, and probably Pennsylvania as real big question marks.
Big time.
I don't mind going ahead and putting mine out there. I did early voting, and I voted gold just because I want the right to complain and just look at what happens with the two-party system. So
I'm the same way, man. I'm a libertarian.
Yeah, I voted Joe. I voted Joe, so Joe Jorgensen. But that's they say throwing away the vote, and it's like, I don't know. I just kind of voted my opinion. I'm tired of listening to the red-blue conversation just get so divided that I just want to still be able to have a voice in it all. And I think the only way to have a voice in it is to make sure you at least vote.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Well,
even for all of you in Kentucky who voted for Kanye, you voted. I mean, you voted.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, dude. It
I
was
forgot
weird
about
to see.
him.
He's actually polling in 4th place in Kentucky right now, too. It's with the way it's listed, it's Trump, Biden, Joe Jorgensen, and then Kanye West.
Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot all about Kanye. The good old gay fish.
He got on, gay fish, man. He got on 17 ballots, so it'll be interesting to see. It's highly unlikely unless he really carried those 17 states in order for him to win, but
Right.
Do we have a tally of all the votes coming in for everybody, or is it just tracking Biden and Trump here?
It's mainly just going to track the two-party. If you want to get into them state by state, you'd have to go in and see exactly what the ballots are per state in order to get a good registry on those.
I'm okay with that. I would just like to see Biden, Trump, Jorgensen, and whoever else is
It looks
left.
like Trump just won Tennessee.
Yeah,
CNN and Fox just announced that.
yeah, we've got the Google map is the one that we have currently live on stream for anybody who's got a question on what that is, and then the other maps that we're watching are, what is that, CBS and Politico.
Gotcha. Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I hope the fires are not large, but it's one of those things where you definitely possibly see the fires. So,
yeah, I mean, me, I'm not gonna like get into it again because I'm trying to be neutral and appease everyone, not start fights. But the thing that really burnt my bridge with Trump was my wife. She's Persian, and her family's over in Iran, and we can't even see our family. They can't come over here, and we can't go over there, and we can't go to a neutral ground because it's dangerous for everyone. It's kind of like, okay, the travel ban. Do I agree with it? Sure, to an extent. But if you have a reason to be in the States, there should be the waiver, and the waiver needs to be actually accessible, not the way it is right now.
Right.
If they have a reason to be here, then that should be accepted. If they don't have a reason to be here, by all means, give them a year background. Who cares? But just to flat out say no, that's wrong.
Yep.
So that's my thing. Sorry if that makes anyone mad. I know I'm personal because I have family. It's just
everybody's entitled to opinion, and we all have different opinions. Trust me. I get lambasted for the shit I say, but your opinion always matters. What? Always. We got Gary on the phone too.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
All right, guys.
Go ahead, man.
I'm gonna drop off. I'll see you guys soon.
All right,
I appreciate it. Thanks for the
So
call,
it's
man.
something I said?
Yep, no problem, guys. And remember, I have a huge wang.
Yep, that's right.
Gary.
How are you, buddy?
How's it going, boss?
It's been too long.
Yes.
You guys.
Yeah, we miss you too. But
Yeah,
you know the deal.
They don't let us see each other anymore. We're only allowed to do it over video conferencing now.
Right.
Can't
Well,
go to a
the
ball
spirit is
game.
I know. Oh my God. Geez. I had so much trouble getting money back from the Brooklyn Nets this year. I'm a
Really?
season ticket holder. Yeah, it took them 4.5 months to return $350. And then they say, well, do you want to put a deposit $100 for next year? I say, well, I'm a little leery of that. First of all, are we ever going to go into Barclays Center or Madison Square Garden? Could you tell me when? And
Right.
what kind of ticket price are you going to be charging now to make up for this?
Yeah, well, we know football's in trouble for that matter. They don't know. They're not 100% sure what the salary caps are going to be next year. And right now it looks like it's going to be like 40 to 50 grand less. Or, million less. Millions.
40 to 50 million less.
Right now it's projected to be 176. That could go up. I read an entire article on it, Ren. It's self-adjusting, so it can go up. Right now it's 176 million. Who the fuck's going to play?
I'll play for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd play too, but I don't want to be hit by no big-ass linesman.
Yeah, but that's also kind of what we
just-
said in the last show, that we could easily see next season being played by replacements because none of the guys that are actually playing for the millions of dollars will play for the less millions of dollars.
Yeah, and Gary brings up a good point. Where's the game going to be? Is it going to be in Florida in a bubble? Is it going to be in the home stadium? How many fucking people are going to be there? Is it going to be free reign, or is it going to be, like we got now? Well, you can have 3,000 people.
No. How
I
are
mean-
you going to do that?
They're doing that in football.
It was
Football's
like-
5,000.
It was like watching. Well, some of the states are allowing it. Not all of football is allowing fans in. Like Martinsville yesterday had people on the front stretch.
Yeah.
Sunday
Sunday,
had people on the front stretch. A small collection of people nowhere near. I wouldn't even say that was a third capacity for them. Like it was tiny amount of people.
Tiny. So Gary, what did I say? Trump by 6 electoral votes.
I think you said that. It's looking now that he's starting to pull away in Florida now that the Panhandle is reporting, and that's very red. In northern Florida.
Yeah.
I think he's going to pull away in Georgia. I think it's going to go down to Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. All right. Now, I believe Trump it was 303 electoral votes last time. Okay. So for Biden to win, he's got to flip 34 of those.
Yeah.
Right now, he has it purely in Texas with the 38 that are there.
And also, but the early returns you see have Biden up everywhere because those are the votes that were already there.
Tallied, yes.
Yeah, that's only 38% reporting there. When you've got Florida is at 97% now, so or 87%.
Trump's up, right?
89.
And Trump is up
by less than 2%.
Yeah, it's close.
But
that's going the direction further.
Still, and I think Pennsylvania's already said that they won't be able to count all the votes until Friday.
Yep.
Michigan might go past today. We're seeing what really happens. Now, Trump all along his people said they were going to win Florida, and they probably will.
That's big.
Now, it's huge. Well, it's huge because he couldn't afford to lose. If he would have lost Florida, it's over. But Biden still needs to win something that Trump won in 2016, and that's, as the night goes forward, that's what we don't know.
You're right.
I don't think he's going to win Arizona. I think he gave up Arizona.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to win Ohio at the end of the day. I think Trump's going to hold on to that. Trump's going to hold on to North Carolina. So it's really going to narrow down. And I think that Trump has a shot at Nevada because he seems to be doing pretty well among Hispanic voters. And turnout is so. And
he's an interesting conundrum when you look at the people he actually is polling well with, which is actually the black vote and the Latino vote, which is really unexpected. Like when they say how would you hear mainstream media, and we'll get into a little bit of that conversation a little bit later, but when you hear mainstream media say on one side about how negatively he's viewed in these sets of the country, and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I necessarily am buying what you're putting down there.
Well, you just made a really critical point. The mainstream media and the leaders are saying what the people think.
Yeah, right.
Now, are you going to do you think all the people, the African Americans whose businesses were burnt down in the riots for the past few months are going to warm greatly to Joe Biden when he won't condemn Antifa ever? And I'm not being partisan. I try to be really, really balanced. I get in trouble with people because I do try to bend over backwards because I'm an independent. I'm a populist, but I vote for Democrats, Republicans. In fact, today here in Brooklyn, I wrote in the name of my neighbor, Willie Cotton, who's running for Congress on the Socialist Workers Party. He obviously couldn't get on the ballot because you couldn't walk around, in these circumstances, getting signatures. Now, there's tons of stuff I disagree with the Socialist Workers Party, okay? But as a populist, I appreciate his passion. He's smart. He's intelligent. I think he would make the right decision, even though I might not always agree with what he did. And I think people like that should be encouraged. So, you have to go beyond what the mainstream media tells us. Because remember, the fight is not Democrat and Republican. That's just a straw man. It's about the ruling elite. It's about the people who look at everyone on this call, and I suspect many people listening, as deplorables. Whether you voted for Donald Trump or not. And I think that's it. And when you have this sort of patronizing arrogance from the ruling establishment, that's where the real battle gets in. And so black, so yeah, it's shocking. Oh my God, a black person actually made up their own mind. They didn't do what Don Lemon said. Shocking. What a notion.
Yeah, and I think that's been the most common.
Hispanics, it's like Joe Biden say you ain't black if you don't vote for me. It's like Hispanics. Well, let's also remember, because that's kind of a racist blanket view. There's all different kinds of Hispanics. There's a difference between the cultures of Cuba and Ecuador and Puerto Rico and Mexico and on and on. I'm going to get in trouble leaving someone out. Just because they all speak Spanish doesn't mean they're one unified bloc.
That's right.
Just because we speak English, we're not the same as the British or the Canadians or the Australians.
That's right. That's true.
We're not, Koreans, Chinese, Japanese. They're Asians, yes, but there's a difference.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is. It's so easy when you play to divide people and you play to polarize.
Right, and to
you
lump.
play to get people. Yes.
Yeah, when you start to do main lumps, it's like you gotta really not try to do the lump, because the lump never works out. It just
except that it works out, unfortunately, all too often with my peeps, the Jews. And I'm a Jew. I can say it. Even though we have a strong, more conservatives among the Orthodox and the Hasidim, overwhelmingly tomorrow you're going to read that American Jews voted for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden, who's supported by teams of anti-Semites. Jews, you're not going to see Jews wandering away and making their own. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't vote for Biden. I'm just saying they vote out of this blind loyalty because they're expected to vote a certain way for a certain party without being given the option of thinking.
Yeah. Well, I will say that in 2016, the Orthodox Jewish community did vote overwhelmingly for Trump.
Yes, but how many are there?
Well, I don't know. I guess all of Williamsburg.
Yeah, Monroe County, yeah. Monticello, yeah. But still, most of the Jews. But it's a question that when you have voting blocks, and we understand that the political process depends on voting blocks, you have to mobilize your base, and you can't go that individually to each person. You have to tailor things a certain way, and you want to mobilize people around wedge issues, and you want to get them not to like your opponent and vote for you, because all too often in politics it's voting against the other person. But there has to be a coming to Jesus belief that it can't go on the way it is, that people keep failing you. If policies keep failing you, you're entitled to turn around and think something different. And if you see like all the Democratic cities that blew up in riots this year, governed for decades by Democratic progressive rule, which has been patronizing to people and hasn't given them opportunities and chances what they needed to run their own lives. I think they have a right, whether you agree with it or not. They shouldn't be scolded or shamed. As Maxine Ward has said, any black person who votes for Donald Trump should be ashamed. I sent that to a friend of mine, Angela, who's African American. I guess you're not going to get a baby present anytime soon from Ward. That's wrong. You see, but that's the way the system is, and that's one of the reasons the system is sadly so corrupt.
Well, I've been a big proponent for, I don't know, probably half my life at this point, that I'm a firm believer that a two-party system is completely broken. There's no balance. There's no leverage. The leverage swings one way to the other depending on, wind shifts and policy and, whomever happens to be running. But I'm a firm believer that this country needs a strong third party to actually bring balance to the politics of this country, to the political landscape of this country.
That would be great.
And I have no idea what that third party is. I mean, if you take it way, way back to where, there was three parties in the political system way, way back in the early days of America, look at how much more balanced it was.
Yeah, well, when we
You know,
were
look at how
when we weren't
policy was.
necessarily a partied system to the degree that we are currently.
Yeah, now it's two parties, and I'm also a firm believer that Congress needs term limits. I mean, the fact that
Yeah.
on my
Yeah,
ballot,
yeah.
on my ballot is Frank Pallone, who's been on the ballot, I think, longer than I've been alive. He's been in Congress.
Is it
I
Kennedy
mean,
words?
and I'm 47 years old, so I mean that says a lot. Like,
Well, you're
Yeah.
47
You
years
know,
old,
you-
and
you
Biden's
need to have
literally been
some
in
kind
office
of-
the entire time you've been alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Biden's
And,
been in
I
office
mean,
the entire time you've been alive. So that's another guy who's run that political track of being able to, find himself somewhere inside of that machine continuously.
yeah,
Question-
I mean,
question.
people like, regardless if you love or hate them, but the people that are leading our respective houses by party, whether it's Pelosi or who's the guy on the Republican side that showed up all beaten up.
Mitch McConnell.
McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. I mean, I'm a firm believer that neither one of those people should be in the positions they're in at this point in time in their lives. I think they've lost touch with what exactly America is, that America is much younger than it was.
Oh, like the Speaker of the House, Audrey Hepburn.
Eh,
I mean,
should always know
I really think like injecting youth into the modern day landscape of politics is something that's very much needed. Like,
think-
and the only way you're going to get that at this point in time is by instituting some kind of term limits.
The rapper Chuck D put it out there about a week ago or so that he feels that older people should not be making decisions for this country. And not for anything, he's not necessarily the youngest gentleman, but
It's a very progressive statement, though.
it is. And I mean, it's like it coming from you or coming from me, us that have hit that 40 going into the, because what national average is right there still about 79, 80. So we're on the other side of the conversation now. We are in the older direction that, for us to be like, get young people in here, do things, it is definitely a lot more progressive than our parents would have been.
Well, here's a thought. How old is Bill Clinton right now?
He's like mid-70s, isn't he?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Isn't
let's
he
think
still
about
younger
this.
than our current two?
That was my point. The guy that we elected like 3 presidents ago is currently younger than both of our current candidates. So that's totally true, but also at the same time, why are these old people running for office? Like,
74.
Because you need a lot of money, and they could access it. They could get it.
Well, they've been in the political
they don't wanna-
system long enough to be able to get that
Trump is-
access.
So
Trump and Clinton are the same age.
William Jefferson Blythe, a.k.a. Bill Clinton, is
Actually,
74.
yeah, 74 years old.
So is Trump.
and he was president
Actually-
in the 90s,
Trump
which
is
means,
1 month younger.
all right,
He was the 42nd president from 1993 to 2001. So
he was 40.
30 years ago, roughly, he was 50.
Yeah.
He was 44.
Interesting
fuck
thing.
right.
Interesting thing. I just found out about the Clinton presidency.
25 years ago.
Interesting thing I found out about the Clinton presidency. You know, his vice president Al Gore had actually run for president in '88.
Oh, I did not know
I
that.
did not know that either until the other day. I was looking up. I was like, because my girl's like, well, he got his ass kicked twice running for president, didn't he? And I'm like,
He did.
did he? Well,
Twice,
only
like
once.
3
Only once after he only ran once after.
Yeah. Then he backed out of some shit. But look how young Barack
And he was
Obama.
the conservative. By the way, he was the conservative candidate. Now that Michael Dukakis won.
Yep.
He was middle to left. You had Jesse Jackson, and you had Al Gore, who was moderate to right. That was the wing he represented.
Yep.
In fact, I don't know if you guys remember Willie Horton, that thing which George Bush used against Michael Dukakis for paroling Willie Horton.
Oh,
as
yeah.
governor.
Yeah.
Well, it was Al Gore who first introduced that in the New York primary against Dukakis. So there's always, That's the beauty of history, which we're not allowed to, talk about much anymore because there's too many third rails. But yeah, when you study history, you learn these cool things.
In J7, the reason why you've got two old guys running, in my opinion, is because our last president was like 47 years old and has gone down in history as the most hated president ever.
How is the most hated president ever? Who said that?
Everybody. Barack Obama did nothing.
Everybody. Oh, okay.
Obama did nothing. We already know that. He did nothing.
Where are your... Give me some sources right now. I need sources before you continue this.
Well, I mean, it is a very blanketed statement that you made to say that the national population just goes, oh, yeah, Barack Obama was a shithead.
Yeah, but go ahead. Worst president. Going down history as the worst president.
No, whatever. Yeah. I want some sources. What is this blanket statement?
I was like, if you're saying something that's directly contradictory to the way, like, she and other members of her community feel, it doesn't mean everybody.
No, okay. I mean, it's a tight one. It's a tight race between whether it's fucking Clinton or Barack Obama as the most hated president. Just go look it up online. Gary.
No.
You not agree?
Find some damn sources or shut the fuck up.
You not agree, Gary?
I don't know. I think Obama is still widely respected.
It's one of the worst presidents. They did nothing.
Well, that's very subjective, but I think in terms of popularity.
Oh, popularity, yeah.
Let's go back to, he still has enormous power and influence in the party. Look how Joe Biden got the nomination. Like in 2016, the establishment interceded to stop him. If he wasn't completely ahead in popular vote of the primaries, he was awfully close. But it wasn't felt that he would get key constituencies to vote for him. Mike Bloomberg was discarded. Pete Buttigieg was discarded. Amy Klobuchar, who I thought would have been the best Democratic candidate, was discarded, and Obama twisted arms. Everyone dropped out, rally around Joe Biden, who was teetering.
And he didn't come out and support him from the start. He wouldn't even fucking go
behind the scenes. It was pretty clear. Yeah. No, he cleared the deck. And they said, all right, we've got to rally around Joe. So Biden still has enormous influence. And believe me, if Michelle Obama had suddenly decided to tell Joe, you're not running anymore, give me the nomination, everyone, the seas would have parted. They would have been the red state.
Oh, definitely.
So I think they're very much still popular, and there's never been, we've never been any real scandal. I mean, scandal attached.
Yeah,
what his accomplishments are, that's something else.
This top 10 list that I just pulled up from worst U.S. presidents.
Yeah, I just closed mine.
James Buchanan has the number 1 spot. Andrew Johnson's got the number 2. Franklin Pierce, Warren G. Harding, William Henry Harrison, Millard Fillmore is a tie with John Taylor, Herbert Hoover, Chester A. Arthur, and number 10 is Benjamin Harrison. So
that's what I was trying to find.
So
even Jimmy Carter's not on this list, and we know that he actually does leave a very bad taste in people's mouth.
I was looking for like to the 70s. I mean, you could put Abraham Lincoln on that list. He was hated by a lot of people. He fucking stopped slavery. The South hated that shit. That's half the fucking country hated him. You can put him on.
But do you think he actually is hated?
Sure.
Like, do people actually hate Abraham Lincoln?
I think that nowadays, I think that becomes a bigger topic than it ever was. I mean, fucking Trump keeps throwing it out there. I'm the best president ever. Well, maybe not to Abraham Lincoln. I mean, he keeps putting it out there, so it's embedded in people's minds. And I mean, the whole South hated Abraham Lincoln.
What he's saying, I think what Trump actually said was, I did more for black people, perhaps not as much as Abraham Lincoln.
Right. Yeah. Yes. That's 31% of the population that he's embedding that into.
So you're saying people hate him for that? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said people hated Abraham Lincoln because he freed the slaves.
Oh, okay. So like around the time of the Reconstruction and all that?
Which also let's bring to point the fact that Also, on the 70-year flip-flop of how the parties actually change up their systems, this was a time where the South was completely Democratic,
Yep.
and they were the ones that were the slave-owning populace for the most part. But it's not. It's not that the blue states. It's not that the blue states were, or it's not that the Republicans were doing much better, because they are the people who also made the amendment to the Constitution that said that black folks, even though you were free, still only counted as 3/5 of a person once they added you to the Constitution. So,
Right.
yeah, history is awash with a whole lot of they were kind of helping, but not really. They were still shitheads back then of a different sort. So.
The map we've got up on the screen tonight, I wanted to reference that since it's up there. It's Associated Press.
Shitheads of a different sort. I will be stealing that.
Hey.
That's Associated Press's map up there.
Okay, so that is Google is using the AP map?
Yeah, they're using the Associated Press.
Okay, well then Politico must be not too far behind on using the same styling. They're a little bit further ahead, so... because right now Politico's showing 8872. You're saying AP, and so we'll say AP map is showing 8561, and CBS is showing Trump at 42 and Biden at 20.
Oh, this is way behind.
Yeah. Have they called?
Is it way behind, or is it more accurate because it's not making assumptions?
Not on any of the maps I'm seeing currently has Florida been called, but we are looking at 88% on most maps.
Yeah. So the CBS is saying 2042 Trump,
Yes.
and then
everybody else is way out ahead of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like New Jersey. New Jersey has 21%, and they've already called it for Biden.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting how, Trump's still 58-39 in Virginia, but Virginia's been called for Biden.
Yeah, Connecticut, 7% in.
Yeah, and they're also basing it on prior elections. Well, it's a fucking Democratic state, and all the early votes are Democrats. That's because Republicans normally don't mail in any. Could they show up at the polls to fucking vote? We know that. Not that it matters. Just fucking vote.
It was a politically motivated pre-election early voting, get your votes turned in, and that was definitely more on the Democratic side. There was more of a push to make sure that was done. So, your early voting and your mail-in votes will be probably predominantly blue votes. Now, I was an early voter, but I did not follow into either of those party lines. So, just throw that out there as well.
Yeah.
I voted this past weekend, as did my girl, and...
We'll
just say I voted. How about that?
Yeah, well,
I voted today.
I saw the traditional.
You can go to the polls. We can't.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Jersey
'cause in
can't.
Jersey,
We could. Yeah, we could, but I just figured that our state would do the same as it normally does, and it would just be a crazy line I just didn't want to deal with at all today. So I was like, go early vote, and I even thought I was going to run into a little bit of something there. But our early voting, we walked in, grabbed our pen, grabbed our ballot, walked into a booth, voted, and walked out. We were in and out of there, I'd say, in probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Yeah, and usually when I go and vote on election day, I'm in and out in 5.
Go figure.
But I also pick and choose my times as to when I go vote.
Our places are
I'll work
usually
from home
pretty,
on election day.
All of ours are small. All of ours are really small
community
votes. Like, so you'll have everybody from all of the area all converge on a little tiny church that's got like 4 booths in it. So it's stuff like that. Like, we did early voting, and ours this time was at the Coliseum in the exhibition hall, which is now y'all are all familiar with the Charlotte Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Greensboro Swarm is their D-League team.
Yeah.
So it's the Greensboro Swarm, and that's actually the venue that they play in now is right up the street. So, and that was where early voting was done. We voted Wednesday.
Nice.
of the vote in New Jersey, and it is a 0.1% race right now.
Can you believe Texas?
Flip.
Texas
Texas has flip-flopped like 3 times since I've been sitting here
wild.
staring at the map.
Imagine if Texas goes blue. That's gonna be it. Like, imagine that would be the first time I've seen that in my life.
That is kind of the deciding factor right now, because the number of votes that we're talking about need to actually rotate in order to get a Biden win does hinge on those like 30 plus right there. Like if he can get them all in one state, nothing else matters. Like if Texas goes blue, then you can just go ahead and write that off. Like,
oh my God!
Like if
so
Texas really
nerve-wracking.
goes blue, then Biden's your next president.
But Texas is not going blue.
I mean, we say
Right
that,
now.
we say that, but currently it is heavily blue, and I do think it's something
53% of the vote in.
If we're gonna call like voter fraud, let's talk about all the Californians that just recently left California to go to Texas.
Oh my God!
Like there's
imagine.
a shit ton of Californians that did move out of California and go to like San Antonio or Austin.
Right.
In Austin.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So there's a wild chance that there may have been enough influx of Californians into Texas to turn it blue.
Oh man, that is wild.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
It's like what?
What? Yeah.
Right, when you think about it that way.
I mean,
That's, yeah, can happen.
mass
So
migration,
can
man.
I tell you guys about what I'm drinking right now?
Oh, we
What
are
do you drink?
always in the mood.
So this is a drink called El Presidente. And it was first served in Havana, Cuba in 1920 to the third president of Cuba. His name is, wait, I forgot his name.
Come on, please fact. You're supposed to have your sheet ready.
That's okay. That's not detrimental to the story.
Yeah, so it was served to the third president of Cuba, who incidentally was he served one term, and then he ran one more time after that, lost, and then after he lost, he attempted a revolution, and when that didn't work, he ran away to the United States for about 5 years. And then he went back to Cuba and tried to run another time and also didn't win. Interesting only because Cuba has not had that many presidents.
Yeah.
There's only been about 5, I believe.
I'm gonna say
And the rest have
handful.
been dictators.
Mm.
So,
Viva la revolution.
so it's got rum, it's got dry vermouth, sweet vermouth, grenadine, and then you put it in a shaker, and you shake it, and then you put it in
Do you
a
shake with ice?
old-fashioned glass.
Do you shake with ice or serve over ice?
You shake with ice, and then serve over crushed ice,
Okay.
and you garnish with a slice of orange and cherry,
Okay.
and then enjoy.
Sounds tasty.
It tastes a little bit like it's very tasty. I'm very much enjoying
This segment was brought to you by
it.
J7's
Tuning in.
drink of the week.
Tuning
Yeah.
next to J7's Drink of the Week.
It's called El Presidente. I thought it was so adequate. It just made so much
It
sense.
is,
Apropos.
it is very
Yeah.
appropriate.
What are you drinking, Gary? You drinking anything? You got wine, beer? What do you got?
No, I had wine with dinner,
Uh-huh.
and I'm going to come on your air. And if I'm too drunk, you'll get me to say very strange things. I can say them by myself.
Roll tape. I went Sam Adams tonight. I
Sam
felt-
Adams.
Yeah,
That's
I felt like
that's a switch from the norm.
I felt like being a little patriotic, so I went Sam Adams.
I'm drinking a red, white, and blue can called Wowza Hazy Pale Ale.
Which
By
Sam did
Deschutes.
you go? Which Sam did you go?
Oh, I went Boston Lager,
Just
man.
traditional Boston lager, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm shipping up to Boston. Mm-hmm.
That was a really good concert.
Yes, it was. So, we've been floating around this idea, and I really wanted to get opinions and talk about the censorship and bias that we've seen in, I don't know, the last 3 weeks across all media platforms.
Well, we could say months. We could say months at this point. I mean, this is something that's gotten kind of more and more prevalent to anybody that's paying attention. We already know mainstream media tilted on its side a while back, and we can go, this channel is on this side and this channel is on this side. When we go to main news, we can go, this paper's on this side and this paper's on that side. When we talk about like when we give them designations, now we're at a point where our social media, which was like the old news used to be, totally non-biased and all opinions were expressed pretty open-endedly and non-biased like ancient news used to. But now we're at a point where we're seeing attempted censorship, because I say attempted because they did ban the New York Times for the Hunter Biden article. But
No,
after
it was New York Post.
New York Post.
Yeah, New York Post.
New York
Yeah,
Post.
they did ban them, but they did reverse course on that after like a week's worth of backlash. So
Yeah, well, Sunday they unbanned their account when for 2 weeks it was banned, and you stopped an organization. I don't want to call them journalists. I'm not sure about the Post. It was always a rag paper in New York, but I mean, you stopped them from reporting news in a social media platform because, and this is the kicker. This is what, I'm glad you brought up the Post. The reason why they banned them is because the information that they were reporting on was from hacked computers.
Right.
And that's just bad. That's bad to do. Can we go back to 2016 when the WikiLeaks was all over fucking Twitter bashing the shit out of Hillary Clinton? We let that go. So when did Twitter flip their political view from, supporting Republican to being Democratic now?
the question is in what point does Twitter get to have a view of being left or right? Like I think your statement in when did they switch from supporting Republicans?
Look, they were out
like everybody was out there at one point on Twitter being allowed to say whatever the fuck they wanted to. It was one of the proudest things I still liked about Twitter is they weren't censoring any of their content that was being put on there. And then now we're seeing them decide to take a side and firmly put their foot into taking a side. So you saying they supported in the past, I'm saying they just didn't not allow it. Like, it's not that they were supporting it, it's just they didn't not allow the conversation. Now they've put their foot in and said that they're not allowing part of the conversation. So that's why I want to clarify. Like, I don't think before they were supporting anybody, I just think before they allowed the conversation to take place.
Right. Well,
yeah, I think the same thing is true with Facebook. You know, a lot of the conversation that happened in 2016 was about how these Russian trolls started, created all these fake news, all these fake accounts. And it's not that Facebook was on either side, really. It's just that they allowed that to take place along with the actual conversations that were happening. So, I mean, I think part of what's happened, just based on what I've observed, is we've started, or the government actually has started keeping them somewhat accountable for the stuff that happens on the platforms. So I guess maybe they feel compelled to do something.
I don't know whether I'd say that they're being held accountable for what's being put on the platforms. I'd say that they are experiencing political pressure to shut down voices, regardless of what they are.
Right.
No, wait, no, I'm sorry. But this is clearly a social media war on the conservative point of view. It's just as simple as that. When the most wild stories floated around, unconfirmed stories by the mainstream media about Trump or any conservative, Twitter and Facebook, they never stopped anything. Never. You know what their excuse was when the Ayatollah of Iran calls for the extermination of Jews? Well, you have to hear all the views of global leaders.
Right, they've had that view
Well,
there.
that's
They've also
true.
shared it about North Korea, and there's some standpoints that have come out of there, and they're very quiet on one side of the China-Hong Kong conversation.
Very quiet.
Yeah,
They
so
Very
think
quiet.
they must be
That's-
working for the NBA.
I mean, I feel like they've been doing it more and more recently. Like whenever Trump tweets something that is just like
wild. We'll say wild.
verifiably untrue, right?
We'll say
Like,
wild.
yeah, they
You
have
know, like
started.
Louis Farrakhan. Wait a minute. Louis Farrakhan has 350,000 followers on Twitter and calls people termites.
Who is this
But
person?
that's okay.
You don't know who Louis Farrakhan is?
Louis Farrakhan?
No, I don't know who that is.
Oh, I am. All right. We are not
Jesus,
allowed to
what?
know each other anymore. We're gonna have to get rid of J7 now. Sorry.
You also know Farrakhan sold all his people out to Scientology, right?
No.
He sold all his people out to
Just
Scientology.
just Google
took
it over there.
Yeah,
I will, but let me just finish my thought. Whenever he says something that's verifiably untrue, what they do is they mark it as something like, this tweet violates our rules. However, we feel that because it's in the interest of the public
Right. You can view it if
good, you can see it.
Right. If you choose to by clicking here.
Because he's an elected leader, right? So is this person also an
Oh no.
elected leader? Oh, okay.
Oh
No, no,
no.
Louis-
I'm really shocked that you have no idea who Louis
Yeah,
Farrakhan
this is actually very disappointing.
It's the head
Like-
of Islam.
Like you're like a lot of opinions that you stated and had are now brought into question just because you don't know who this is.
Wait, how do you spell this person's last name?
Farrakhan.
Farrakhan.
Are we bringing the
Louis
Looster into this?
Farrakhan.
I don't
No.
know if we can handle.
Don't bring Louis in. Leave him out of there. Sorry, Lou. He's the head of the
This is
nation.
Gary. This is Gary's time.
He's the head of the Nation of Islam. Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Oh, and we are.
And he's the leading anti-Semite in the United States.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
By a long shot.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. This is another guy that the FBI, I'm sure, is keeping a very close eyeball on.
Okay.
Like this guy goes out there and says some of the most wildest, outlandish, almost terroristic threat statements.
Yeah.
And it's
And
not
not close enough. They let him kill Malcolm X.
He sold his fucking people to Scientology. He funded fucking.
Okay, I know who this is now. Thank you for saying that because now I know who this is. Now it's all kind
But
of
it
clicking.
goes to the point of
Yeah.
it brings in, and I know where this conversation's going, so I'm going to speed it up a little bit here. This really revolves around Section 230 of the FCC Act.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the FCC really has no place to have a say in this because the way it's written in a way so they don't have a say. But whoever the current Yahoo guy is, same guy who got rid of net neutrality, who said he'd never do that, now feels he has all the power in the world to change Section 230. And if you don't know what Section 230 is, basically Section 230 protects people like us who do something on the internet as a media-style organization and protects us of anything that anybody else comes on and says. Like, for example, Twitter, Facebook, social media. You go on there, you could say anything wildly outlandish, make a threat, whatever. They can come after you, but Twitter or Facebook is protected.
Right.
Because they're not controlling you per se. You have free speech. This is basically, it's going to end up being in a fundamentally the unfortunate part is our free speech is going to be questioned ultimately when this comes to a head.
Okay, but I've also this is where this conversation is actually going, is because I've got a little bit of a devil's advocate situation that I want to go ahead and throw here. Twitter, Facebook, any social media platform, as far as they're concerned right now, are businesses, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as a business, they have the right to govern their business the way they see fit as a business. If we
Right.
just purely treat them as a business, because even the Supreme Court ruled that the guy who didn't want to give cakes to gay people could do that because it's his right as a business owner to refuse or deny service. It wasn't a hate crime for him to say, no, I'm not giving you cake.
Right.
Even though initially they tried to say it was, but the federal
Right.
court came in and goes, well, no, technically it's his business and we can't interfere upon his rights as a business to refuse service to anybody that they want to. Just like the no shirt, no shoes, no service signs that are in a lot of businesses, except for down at the beach. Just like they have the right to put those guidelines in place for the service. If you want service from their business, you'll come in a certain amount of attire, just like a dress code at a high-end establishment that requires a tie. Requires a tie when you come in. That is under their obligation as a business to govern themselves the way they see fit for the audience that they are wanting to cater to. So I also want to throw this as the hinge-pin on this is to go, what if they just walk away from the table? What if Mark Zuckerberg gets tired of going in front of Senate week after week after week after week to defend things and shuts it down? What if the CEOs of Twitter don't even want to come in and talk to Congress and they're just like, bye, because it's a business.
Right.
They can shut their doors anytime they want to. What does the global society, because this is not just an American company and it doesn't have to just represent American values. This is a global corporation, a multinational corporation that has its fingers into many platforms. So how are they obligated to just what the United States tells them they can and cannot do as far as that platform's concerned? I mean, I understand that we can govern them within how they're used in our society, just like China does within their society, but they could just pull out.
They could.
I did not know it is legal in all 50 states to go into a store or a restaurant barefoot. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's legal. It's legal, but if a business says no shirt, no shoes, no service, it's their obligation to deny you service because of.
Yeah, I just read an article on it while you were talking about it. I'm like,
Yeah, you know what? It's like the whole mask debate that ridiculously started.
Well, no,
when,
it's not so ridiculous, because considering what the rules are, and
considering what happens in the next 3 days, it could be fucking law. You have to wear a mask everywhere.
Potentially.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is, even in states where, like in New York, we have a mask mandate, right? Like you're supposed to wear a mask anytime you're outdoors.
And I can't even come to New York anymore without proving when I go into a tunnel that I have a negative COVID test.
Right. So in New York,
I work in New York.
Not anymore.
Kinda.
Not anymore.
Kinda.
There's a specific state law in place, that says you have to wear a mask.
Well, it's actually
and
not a
that's
law
it.
in New York. It's a mandate. It's
an executive order by the governor.
Right.
Right.
Which,
Which
yeah.
You don't have to follow an executive order legally.
Yeah, you're not obligated.
Okay.
That's why you're seeing all the pushback, is because a mandate is still just a suggestion that has governmental backing, but it's not a law.
Yeah.
You cannot be arrested for not wearing a mask.
No, you can't be arrested, but you can have people giving you dirty looks, which they
Right.
do.
So the court of
Yeah.
public opinion is what you need to be more worried about.
Yeah. So in places where that was not in place, right?
Right.
Like where businesses were the ones that were like, well, if you're gonna come in here, you need to wear a mask.
Well, now
Um,
hold on. I'm going to go ahead and throw my girl under the bus on this one real quick. CBS has a mask rule across the board for all CBSs nationally.
Yep.
Where they're like, you got to wear a mask to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the employees have also been told that if somebody comes in not wearing one, you are not to approach them and tell them that they need to wear one.
so then how do you enforce this rule?
That's just it. You're not allowed to do that because there is no law on the books stating that you do that. You can, if you are willing to put yourself in a Karen path, you can go tell Karen to put her mask on. But remember, Karen can also go tell you to fuck off.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's similar. It's a similar debate to the no shirt, no shoes policy, where
Right. It's
if
just
I
a store
say
policy.
you need to wear a mask, blah. If you need to wear a mask to come into my store, you need to wear a mask to come into my store. Otherwise,
Right.
I don't need your business. You
Yep.
can just
Yeah,
walk out.
Yeah, but unless you
Right.
do like Walmart did and put a security guard out front and make everybody come through one entrance and they have to have a mask on, there's no way for you to regulate that. And not for anything, even in a Walmart that has a security guard standing out at the front door, you have people wear a mask to go into it and then pull it off when they get into the store. And there's not a single employee in the store that approaches a single member of the non-mask wearing community and says, you need to pull that back up on your face. It doesn't happen. There is a certain level of this guideline is in place, and if you want to come in, you need to be wearing the mask. But then if they don't wear it once they're inside the store, you're not going to get a confrontational employee that's going to start a rift inside of any of these corporations to stop. Now, your mom and pops may be a little bit more stern on it, but
Yeah.
your national and global corporations, your CBSs, your Walgreens, your Walmarts, your Targets, your Kohl's, their employees are not going to come up to you and bother you.
Actually, I saw the opposite of that the other day. And I think this was a test, okay? I went into a Walgreens and this guy walked up behind me, not wearing a mask. And I was like, oh, I need to stay away from this guy, right? Like, because who knows? And then I went into the store and the guy, he was just randomly walking around the store, not buying anything. Okay.
Sure.
And I could see the employees like scoping him out. And I see one of the employees was like, I heard them. They were like, oh, he needs to be wearing a mask. And then just as she was about to approach him, like he started walking faster and then left through one of the other exits. And I was like,
now that
what
is a
just
very
happened
bold
here?
that is a very bold and brazened employee that took it upon themselves to say something. But I will tell you now, their corporate headquarters has told them that that's not their job.
Damn, all of the
I speak from inside knowledge. I'm just
Mhm.
telling you, like CBS has a policy that masks are required across all of their stores, but they have also been told, do not approach somebody who is not wearing one and tell them to put it on.
Yeah, see, usually it's the people in the stores I see doing that. I never really see. I mean, unless there's someone at the door and they're like, "Yo, no, you can't come in without a mask. Get out."
Yeah, it's usually patron to patron that you see
But yeah,
the confrontation.
and I lost my shit
oh,
on once. Absolutely, don't fucking be up in my shit without a mask on. Get the fuck away from me. I don't know you. You're not in my circle. Get the fuck away from me. It's real simple.
Yeah,
real
it's
simple.
normally patron to patron, less likely store to customer.
yes, I've seen that far more often. I've seen people who are just, I mean, I don't know, near me, it's not really a problem. Everybody's wearing a mask and like people just, generally
yeah. New
don't
York,
get too
New
close.
York is settled into not being around each other anymore.
Yeah. Which, whatever. I don't know how we're gonna live after this is over. We're just gonna be like, is it okay if I? We're all gonna be very, very careful.
It is
around each
New York is a very unique scenario when you look at like how social of a city that it was on the streets to how not it has gotten to be.
I mean, it's weird. I mean, you still talk to people, but like, you like stand way over there, and you're wearing a mask.
Yeah, you probably 6
And-
foot to 6 foot. Like, let me just put a little bit more of a buffer in here.
Yeah.
60% of the 61% of the vote in Texas, and it's still blue.
It's still blue.
Still blue.
Oh, shit.
AP has it 119 to 92. CBS has it
Politico.
49 to 42. Politico has it 122 to 94.
Yeah, see, I
New
like.
York Times has it 119 to 93.
Yeah, I like the fact that CBS is sitting back and going, you know what? It's only fucking 12% of the vote.
Yeah,
We're
let's
not gonna
wait.
Give it a. Oh yeah, we're not going to lead you on and start a fucking riot. Oh, that was a big jump.
Oh, that's a big jump.
Biden just went to 80. What
On
the fuck?
CBS?
Yeah,
Oh,
on
they gave
CBS
it-
it's
oh.
80 to 48.
They gave him New York, yeah.
Oh yeah, New York. New York. I mean, duh, right?
No, it shouldn't be duh. The fucking Democrats up there are a bunch of dicks. They should be voted out. What are you going to do? Keep fucking Cuomo in there too?
I mean, I don't know. It's just, when was the last time New York voted anything but blue?
What was Koch? Hey, Gary, what was Ed Koch?
Democrat.
He was a
So
Democrat?
we had, you remember George Pataki dethroned Cuomo
Yeah.
the first.
Right. Pataki. Yeah. So,
We
yeah.
have to go way back. You know, but and then we had a guy named Rudy Giuliani as mayor.
Yeah. He cleaned up New
I
York.
mean, it happens. It doesn't happen a lot.
He-
Mike Bloomberg.
He moved the porn shops 2 blocks down. That's what he did.
Well, yeah, and he turned Midtown Manhattan into one of the richest fucking theater districts on the face of the planet.
I mean, it was
Yeah,
a
Giuliani
much
was
needed
the-
improvement for the city as a whole. Like, it was definitely a very, very solid move. So
I mean, so much so fucking Disney moved
Eh,
and
Yeah.
bought a fucking
I mean,
40 million.
but see,
dollar
you're speaking from somebody who didn't experience 1960s, 1970s New York life. So there's
She's-
That's true. I
yeah,
did not.
He's
like
Times
if you
Square
if you
New
were
York
part
life.
if you were part of that pre
Gary, tell her stories of Times Square.
Yeah.
You're a lifelong New
Oh
Yorker.
man, it was a cesspool.
yeah.
It's sewer. We could have dropped a neutron bomb there and done a great public service.
Yeah, lifelong New Yorker there.
You took fucking.
Yeah, but
It
I mean,
took
look,
40.
it's, you know, there's something to be said for the Disneyfication, and it's a little culturally whitewashed. But the fact is, it brings tourists, and you know, people support the theater and the restaurants, and they support the city, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
I
is
mean, again,
cool.
when is
I
that
don't
gonna
know that Giuliani did all that though. I feel like, you could maybe thank the
Well-
people, the actual performers and the theater owners and all those people who actually put in the work to make that happen. Not Giuliani.
Well, but you had to
with-
give the backdrop.
I was going to say
Yeah,
not
can't
not the
sound a
person who
sound.
put law and order in place so that they could actually have the opportunity to do that.
You know what? All I remember is when I was a kid, you could get a ticket for sitting on a milk crate. So Giuliani was just wasting a whole lot of time, if you ask me. That was a real thing. That was a law that was in place.
I
you
was
could get
like,
a ticket for sitting on a milk crate.
You don't even see
Yeah, you are
anything on the other
so blue.
I'm just saying, when I was a kid, there was a law that you could get a ticket for like sitting on a milk crate.
Yeah, but if you saw what the what led to that ruling have to be like having been put in place, you would probably have been a little bit more understanding of it. For you, it was just you not having access to something, but for a lot of people before you, it was finally a place that they could just walk through.
Okay. All right.
Like
Yeah,
you
Jenkins, right?
because you
Jenkins-
don't really have any knowledge of what it was before.
Dinkins was the one who ran the city into the fucking ground.
Yeah, because of no previous, like, because you didn't, I guess, come from the dumps that you wasn't at the bottom. You was just here.
I mean, I'm from Washington Heights, so I know what it being not great looks like. Washington Heights when I was a kid was not terrible, but you know, there were still issues, you know, like I remember when I was a kid at one point, there used to be like, I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's this area on, I'm going to say like 138th and 137th Street on Riverside Drive where like.
Little Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah, where there's like.
Huh? I know the area.
There's like a little, okay, so the avenue is up here and then the street drives underneath the avenue and it drives into like a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
And like every other night, you'd see a car burning there, like an actual car burning.
All right, now scale that up to like 3 or 4 cars and keep the every night basis and put it right there next to the steps in Times Square.
Didn't the fucking plane crash in Washington Heights?
Oh, I don't know. Did it?
What the fuck plane was that? Gary, help me out.
Oh,
American,
yeah, I don't
American
remember.
Airlines. American Airlines is 2001. Somebody Google this. American Airlines 2001 plane crash 852 flight 582 fuck. Anyway, yeah, plane crash. Yeah, 2001. I remember that. Crashed right into the fuck.
2001 plane crash? I feel like I would have heard about that.
Now, see, I've heard another story. There was a guy who grabbed his plane and landed it in New York City twice and got arrested for it both times.
American Airlines flight 587. That's the one that crashed into fucking Washington Heights.
It apparently crashed in Queens.
2000? Yeah, wasn't it in Washington Heights?
No, Queens is not Washington Heights.
Okay, I thought it crashed into Washington Heights. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I could have sworn it had something to do with that. Anyway, what side of it? What were you in the apartment side
Tony,
of?
Tony, I'm sorry, guys. I've got it split.
All right, Gary.
Oh.
Gary, what's your call for tonight? You still going Trump?
Very close. I
Yeah,
think so, but very close. I'm not going to be surprised either way.
Yeah. We got
Leaning that way, but I'm not going to be surprised.
Screw that. It's going to be a couple of weeks anyway before we know anything, if we know anything.
It was great talking to everyone.
Yes.
Got to do this again
Very well, Gary.
really soon. All
Yes.
Bye,
guys.
Gary.
Yeah. Keep the faith. Nice meeting you. Bye-bye.
Good meeting you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Gary Mortenstein in the house, author, playwright, sports fanatic. Catch him all over the internet. It's Gary Mortensen. It's close. Morgenstein, sorry. We've got what? Fucking 46 million votes in so far. I thought we had more than that. I don't understand where these numbers are coming from tonight at all.
It's like so weird. I don't really understand.
Well, that's why I wanted to pull up multiple sources because we were going to get so many layers of reporting on this that, like we were just talking about the biases of certain mainstream medias, you're going to see more reporting towards one way or the other, where they're going to release numbers that are in their favor and withhold numbers that are not in their favor according to what side they stand on. Like, so we knew we'd see part of that. And I still got the question. Social media.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it their job to govern the conversation?
You know, I think that they do have a certain responsibility, right? Because they do run the platforms where these conversations are taking place. And I think the question then becomes, how much power do we want them to have?
Well,
The question is should they surrender their power over to the governments of each of the areas that they live in and not have any of their own power?
Wait. I mean, let's okay, Twitter, for example. Twitter was built as a text messaging platform for the masses over the internet. That was what the platform was be able to have global text messaging conversations, 140 characters, same as a text message. It was open communication. So why should they be censoring or labeling anything? Why?
Right. Like I said, the first time we had a conversation about social media and what they were doing as far as some of these other platforms were concerned, as far as trying to regulate the conversation, I leaned into and was disappointed as they started to remold themselves. That Twitter was my favorite place because it was the Wild Wild West. You could do whatever the hell you wanted to there. Like, Twitter was the place that you could,
had
like,
anonymity.
You could go watch porn. You could go.
I wouldn't say anonymity. You could hide behind a name, but yeah, go ahead, Thumb.
Yeah, you could go watch porn. You could have a political conversation. You could share pictures of cats. Like, it all took place in one market.
Yeah,
and it took a certain amount of intelligence to not get gobbled up into the BS. Now, we're saying that it is on the business to make sure that you're not an idiot, but isn't it essentially letting them tell you what they feel is correct? So you're giving up your ability to make decisions for yourself on what you're reading, because you can read stuff and go, "This is bullshit."
yeah.
And if you're of any common sense, when you go through a listing of information, you can put together the piece of truth, and see where you're being led astray by some nonsense. Like, and I'm not willing to. I don't like the fact of having to surrender my ability to hear all of the conversation, so that I can call everybody on their bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think the problem becomes, that's true when the assumption is that it's a real person behind whatever's being said, right? Like, if you just have your opinion,
I don't mind deleting the robo users. I don't mind
But
deleting
how
the
you
robo
know-
users.
Okay.
They know. They know.
Eggs.
They have all kinds of algorithms to prove people over robot.
And people with sock puppet accounts.
Yeah, but you if you're smart, you know the difference. I mean, and you know what? If you're smart, you know the difference. End of story. If you're fucking stupid, then you fall into all the traps. That's what happens.
There are certain things where I think we've given up because we just want to be protected, and I think that's kind of it's made us stupid in a lot of areas, because now it's not our responsibility to have to know that information. So your civic responsibility is out the window because it's not your job to know that. Somebody else has already filtered that information, and you know that what you're reading is only the truth. And it's like, come on now, that's bullshit in itself.
I think that's true. I think that
Dr. Pepper, do not point bottle at face when opening. No
Do
shit.
Oh, question. It's maybe
whenever
handing you a fucking styrofoam cup of coffee.
I see stuff like that, I always think someone did it. Like,
Someone did.
They wouldn't.
Someone did, but do they need to be protected?
They don't need to be protected, but Dr. Pepper doesn't want to be liable for your stupid ass.
I'm sorry.
That's really all it is.
I didn't think
It's
Dr. Pepper need be liable for the fact that you were pointing bottles at your face when you open them. I don't see
But
that.
they don't
Hold on.
wanna-
Nope.
they want to be
Argument
part of-
nullified. Right here, I'm going to nullify your argument. There is not a single champagne bottle out there that has that fucking label on it.
That's true.
That's true. It doesn't. I don't know what.
And that's a
sold.
glass bottle with a highly volatile cork.
And not for anything, but
So
No
Do you
coffee
think
cup.
that Dr. Pepper customers are just more susceptible
To doing dumb shit like that.
doing some shit?
Look, there's more to it than that. There was no such thing as caution contents may be hot on a coffee cup until a woman dropped it in her lap in a drive-thru and sued McDonald's for $60 million.
Now there's a caveat to that though. The coffee that she did receive was well above traditional temperatures. Like in her situation, no. That is the proven part of that. Hers was actually, it needed to be regulated from the pot end. That McDonald's should have been more responsible for the temperature control inside of that situation, less so about when handing it out the window telling somebody that it was hot, because everybody in the world all thought the same thing and was like, well, yeah, coffee's hot, dumbass. But in her particular situation, it really comes down to the fact that McDonald's needed to be held liable for the temperature control of their water within the system, and Texas is red.
I would love to know how hot was the coffee? I don't remember.
It was something like 36 degrees above what temperature was supposed to be within the organization. Like it was very, very much above.
Because we're talking.
That's why I said you got to go into what the details of that case were, and the details of that case really are down to the fact that coffee that got to her, that burned her to the degree it did, because it lit her crotch on fire. The reason is because it wasn't regulated properly within the restaurant. The labeling is just stupid.
Yeah.
But she won the lawsuit because the temperature of the beverage when they went in and tested inside the facility was so much above what it was supposed to be.
Right.
That's what happened in that. That's why I say when everybody talks about that case being so dumb because of this, and they don't know the details, they just think it's girl spilt hot coffee on herself and she was a stupid one, and now every cup's got to have hot coffee on it. Well, no, it was because this particular restaurant actually was serving scalding hot coffee that was not supposed to be actually going out the window. Yeah, that's how she won that case. It was a legitimate lawsuit on the fact that this place really screwed her over by not paying attention to their hot water heater or their heating elements or whatever those regulations within inside.
Time out.
Okay.
So coffee should be brewed anywhere between 195 to 205 degrees. That's what your fucking coffee pot is set at in your house. Okay? McDonald's, this is evidence from that trial, because I'm looking this up going, I don't remember it being that hot. Yes, she suffered third-degree burns, the most serious kind, requiring skin grafts on her inner thighs and elsewhere. McDonald's operation manual requires the franchise to hold its coffee at 180 to 190 degrees. So that means, first off, don't ever get fucking coffee at McDonald's because it's not brewed at the right temperature.
Okay, but that's kind of an irrelevant statement
Coffee at that temperature, if spilled, causes third-degree burns within 3 to 7 seconds. McDonald's admitted it knew about the risk of serious burns from its scalding hot coffee. Keep in mind that you brew it hotter at home for more than 10 years. The risk had repeatedly been brought to its attention through numerous other claims and suits, but they're brewing it at less of a temperature than you brew it at home. So if you spill it, should you at home?
Well, actually, your statement didn't say what they were brewing their coffee at. They said their coffee is to be held at.
That's right, 180 to 190
That's not
degrees.
what it's to be brewed at. You said to be held at. That's what I'm saying. You don't have the other side of what they're brewing it at.
I'm giving you the.
I know what you're giving me, but you also said they're brewing it at a lower temperature. That's not accurate to your statement.
Yes, it is.
No, you said they're holding it at 180 to 190 degrees. That's not brewing it.
All right. Yeah, see,
I'm
coffee pasta.
definitely pressing you on the words here.
I got you. I see what you're saying. You brew it at that temperature. It sits in the pot on a
Yeah,
warming plate.
I'm gonna hit you with the lawyer word on that one. Your wording is not correct based on your statement.
There was no facts that were given at the trial as to the true temperature of the degrees of the coffee. I'm not seeing it here without going through the entire. I can't do that now anyway. At the entire fucking legal journal, I'm seeing nothing that says that was even introduced as it being too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Yeah, you see what I did.
Yeah,
there,
see,
right?
that was, but
Yeah, but
the impressions that I've gotten since then on several different conversations that have been had about it is it was actually being served above recommended temperatures.
McDonald's admitted at trial that its coffee is not fit for consumption when sold because it causes severe scalding if spilled or drunk.
Right, and that's how they became liable in the situation.
Wait, McDonald's did a survey of other coffee establishments in the area and found that coffee at other places were between 30 to 40 degrees cooler.
At serving temperature. Now, see, remember, we're also not talking brewing temperature. We're talking serving temperature at this side. Because just like you said, held at 180 to 190.
So you brew it at that temperature and whatever you...
Yeah, you brew it and then you let it cool to a certain serving temperature.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
which is why they also have multi-pot, where they brew in one station and they serve from another station.
I get it. So she must have got like a really fucking fresh cup. Like somebody pulled the pot out and let it fucking drip right into it and then put it back and go, here's your coffee, ma'am.
Yeah, which is the speculation on that. And that's not supposed to be their serving temperature. So, like, that was where that argument got really misconstrued. They knew that their temperatures were higher than a lot of the others in the area. Most places serving temperature is lower. Because, yes, you brew at a certain temperature, but even when you get your coffee at home, it goes into the cup, you go in, you sit down, you start doing some other stuff.
You add your milk to it, you do whatever.
Yeah, then your temperature is decreased by the time you actually start drinking it, because if you do drink it right after it is served out of the brewer, you're like, my tongue. I just burnt my tongue. I burnt the roof of my mouth. Like, it's automatic. Like, you know when you took a drink of your coffee too fast.
The jury awarded the woman $200,000 in compensatory damages, and then reduced that to $160 because they said, you know what, she's fucking 20% at fault too. She spilled in her own lap. Right. But we'll give her $2.7 million in punitive damages because McDonald's makes $1.3 million a day off coffee, and you served it too fucking hot. You were willful, wanton, and reckless.
Right.
In serving a coffee, which to me sounds like exactly what I've said because I've done this before. Brew the coffee, you get this much in the fucking pot, and you're like, fuck it. Put your cup underneath it, you swap it out so you don't spill it, and then you swap it back in, and you put your milk, and you fucking burn your mouth instantly.
Yeah, but like you said, brewing temperature is something different to serving temperature and holding temperature. And that was what the problem was. Like, even as you further diagnosed that, you found out exactly what I was saying, is that their serving temperature was well higher than it needed to be.
Sure. Yeah. But they also, think about it.
But that is also that is also why it has to say hot on it, because it is served at a hotter temperature than other areas.
Sure. I mean, you got to expect that when you're selling $1.3 million worth of coffee a day. You pretty much know you're making a pot of coffee every like 8 minutes.
I don't know. How many times does Starbucks get sued because they serve hot coffee?
I don't know.
Okay. Then your rationale right there is kind of out the window, because we know that Starbucks sells way more coffee than McDonald's.
I don't know.
Now, they probably don't sell as much hot coffee because they do have a lot of iced coffee options, where McDonald's has only got, what, a Frappuccino?
Starbucks
2.9 billion cups was sold. Last about 4 billion globally. How much did they do in a day? Can we
Yeah,
get a
that's
break?
because your numbers were daily for McDonald's. So
Yeah, I had it daily at one point. What did I say? 1.3 billion, 1.9, 1.9, 1.3. For now, we know the last time reported been cups and average. They don't report it this way. I'm trying. I'm just. I don't know.
I'd like to see. Well, can you get a national on both of them? Annual, I guess, is what you've got for the other one.
Given the revenue of $10 billion and an average drink cost of $3.61, calculations have done 2.9 billion drinks. 2.9, but it 1% caused by drinks container. No, not getting numbers here. Okay, I'm try something else.
Yeah,
That
see,
didn't break.
like in order to pull these two numbers together, but I'd still say that I think Starbucks is probably putting out more coffee than McDonald's.
It's got to be close.
Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely put out more coffee than McDonald's.
And it's got to be national. It can't be global. Because because McDonald's numbers get strewn because global.
Oh, now you want me to do fucking deep dive AI shit here?
Well, no, I mean, it's just part of look, we're doing our social media thing, and this is the rabbit hole that we ended up pigeonholing ourselves into because of like the hot. But this is what I'm saying. Is it their responsibility to tell you just read some bullshit? Because if I'm not mistaken, I can still go get The Sun, the National Enquirer. They're still out there on every grocery aisle for me to purchase absolute nonsense by choice.
Yeah, true. But you know what you're getting yourself into, right? When you go out and you buy The Sun, when you go out and you, I guess, the Post.
I mean,
like,
not for anything. I mean, you have no knowledge of 1960, 1970 Times Square. Does that mean that every person that walks up in line there and sees that, you know, Elvis is reborn doesn't first question who the hell's Elvis and then go, what is he, like a modern day Jesus? Is this some kind of cult leader or something? I mean, you got to understand that there are people who walk into that line and don't know that that's bullshit.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess that's just part of, I guess for me, that becomes critical thinking, which is something that we don't teach enough.
Right. Well, I think me and a guy that I work with are talking about civic responsibility, and part of our civic responsibility should be to help educate the masses. Like when you see somebody falling for some dumb shit, you got to go, hey man, you might want to look at that a little bit closer. Could be some dumb shit.
Right. It could be some dumb shit. Like even if just the example that we just talked about, this dude from the what's his name? The guy that runs the like I didn't know who he was, but so at that point it became about me figuring out who he was and what he was all about. Right? So
but we did our civic duty to make sure that you, now that you've heard the name, were attempting to educate yourself a little bit more about it so you could formulate an opinion on, you know, all right, so this is where this guy culturally aligns himself, and this is a known factor. These are the facts that we're giving you here, and you can see for yourself on this is where he's at.
Right.
You know, even though you didn't know who he was, as the group, we were like, well, here's who he is. You know, check out a little bit of information on him, too. That way you're not just getting it from us, that we're not telling you he's only this way and he's only this guy. You can also do a little bit of independent research, which you did.
Right. And then it totally clicked because I had heard about him. I just didn't know his name.
Right. And so I think that's more the alignment that I think the social media platforms I think should have. Is it's not their job to point out, hey, this is bullshit.
Right. I agree with that. I think that it should be more about, hey, why don't you take a look at what this, but I mean, in essence, that's kind of what they like. Okay, right now I'm referring to specifically the stuff. Remember a couple of months ago, Trump tweeted something about uh, ballot fraud or whatever, and Twitter marked his tweets like, hey, why don't you take a look at these resources about the frequency and the research behind mail-in ballot fraud.
Now, that is something that you haven't traditionally seen before, which that's not a bad thing. When they offer up perspective
Yeah.
and engage you with more information, but traditionally that's not what you get. What you get now is an engagement algorithm, which finds that if it can test or aligns with your already current beliefs, confirmation bias, that you're shown that to keep you engaged more. Because you know who the leading engagement platform is?
Who?
It's YouTube.
Oh, really? YouTube? I would've thought
YouTube is
Facebook.
the most highly engaged platform. It keeps users on actively longer than any other network platform at all.
I can definitely see that because I have spent hours and hours watching videos.
But that's what Facebook is trying to do. That's what Twitter
Yeah.
is trying to do. They're competing for your attention.
Mhm.
Anybody who watched The Social Dilemma, we were supposed to have a little bit of research into this going in so we could formulate all of these point of views. And so anybody who's watched The Social Dilemma, and I just recently watched the JRE with the guy who is behind Social Dilemma, and he talked a lot about specifically what I'm saying now, about what these platforms are really trying to do. And the reason why your algorithm is set up the way it is because they're trying to keep you engaged
Yep.
with using their platform because it benefits their bottom dollar.
Yeah. True. Very true. I did watch that. That was very interesting. That was just
You
very
should
well
you should
done.
hear the words out of his mouth when he's sitting there actually
Yeah.
talking to Joe too. It was. I mean, I know you're probably not maybe the biggest Joe Rogan fans, which is really weird because he's a very liberal guy. But
I like Joe Rogan.
yeah, well, you listen to the people who critique him, and they all kind of go in on him real ham, and then it's like, he's kind of a one of us guy.
His politics are all over the place.
Oh, now I will say that because he was
Yeah.
definitely a Bernie bro there for a while.
He was.
And so that was interesting to see too. I didn't really expect him to be over there, but then now people are all trying to call him a Trumper and like
Because he had Alex Jones on his show.
him and Alex Jones are friends, and he sits there and does nothing but call Alex Jones on his bullshit the entire time they're talking.
Yeah. I find that really entertaining. And if you actually watch, I'm sure you have, the clips where, Alex Jones is just like, I'm retarded. Just like-
Yeah. Well, and Joe says the same shit. He's like, dude, if you're taking any political advice from me, you're already fucking up. He was like, I'm an idiot. If you live your life by any fucking thing that I say is my opinion, you're fucking up. Like, that's you fucking up. And I think that's the kind of the perspective that, like, we should have with all of this stuff. If you're listening to some random idiot say some shit and you're like, this idiot right here is got it going on, I'm going to follow this idiot's advice. Remember, you just said that. I'm going to follow this idiot's advice. Because that's all it is. Anytime you start... We've stopped really educating ourselves, and we've let ourselves fall into these algorithm traps that go into confirmation bias, that lead you down the same rabbit hole that go, all right, well, I dove into this and I dove into that, and the algorithm continues to keep you on that one side, and it doesn't feed you any of the other information. Very controversial comedian Ari Shaffir did one of the smartest things that anybody has ever done, and he tested the algorithm. And what he did was he started a new YouTube account, and he didn't look up anything but puppies.
Oh my God. So he just had a bunch of recommended puppies, huh?
It was he said it was the greatest time he's ever had on YouTube. Because it was nothing but cute and cuddly and fluffy and loving and endearing and everything the entire time. Every time he logged in, it was great. He started his YouTube. It was just like, I'm not going to do nothing for 30 days, but look up puppies. and he proved that if you're interested and you're engaged, that's the content you're going to get. And if they can find a way to keep you, and a lot of us, especially across this board right here, are probably engaged by an alternative opinion that confirms the shit that we want to believe.
CBS reporting that Trump's got the popular vote and Biden's got the electoral.
Yep, right now 89 to 63.
Yeah, interesting. It's still way too early. It's this is like talking about the World Series now. Who's gonna win it next year? Yes, way too early.
Yeah, it's definitely that, but it's just that social observation of seeing it as it's going down. It's a lot of conversation because it's what's happening now while we're on the show. It is why we'll reflect into it a lot. But it's also interesting to see the numbers coming in on the East Coast. It's only like 20% reporting when the polls have been closed since 8 o'clock. North Carolina has at least 2 counties that are open till like 9:30.
Okay. But I thought New York pretty much closes at 8.
New York closes at 9.
Is it 9? Okay. I don't remember. I go to the polls and fucking vote as soon as I get home from school or work. It's what I used to do.
Yeah, but in this certain situation, there were counties and states that have allowed extensions in polling. Yeah. Just like North Carolina is also allowing 12 days for mail-in ballots to arrive.
Same thing with Wisconsin, right? There's some shit over there.
Yeah, there's a couple different places that are all doing it. Pennsylvania is one of those, which is why they say we won't really have a solid answer out of them until at least 10 days from now. So it's one of those reoccurring things kind of everywhere that you've seen extensions that have been put in place, which is why Trump said the other day that they're going in on the night of the election with their attorneys to our election is over when the polls close.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But that's not what's being said by a lot of these places, that they're allowing our election to maintain almost openness for 10 days after the fact.
Because of mail-in ballots?
Right, is what they're saying.
Yeah, right.
Higher West Coast, no reporting. Higher West Coast.
Oh, it looks like Frank Pallone could potentially be out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, 2% reporting, he's losing by 4%, 52 to 48.
Yeah, I was looking at some of these other ones, like the Senate race here is it's interesting. It's 40 to 36 Democrat right now. 35 seats at stake. And the House is 207 Democratic, 218 for majority, and 170 Republican.
They're probably going to keep the House. I'm interested in what's going to happen in the Senate.
No, it's going to flip. It's going to be Democratic across the board.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if the Republicans are going to stand up with they had 53 last time, the majority's 51. So, I mean, you see everybody's been voting on party lines. I mean, I don't want to hear, CNN reporting that, Governor Mitch Michael is going to flip from Republican to Democrat. Bullshit. I don't think there's one fucking person who would stand the tyranny of Donald Trump if they voted against him and he won. If he's been lambasting all the Democrats across this country, what is he going to do to that one person who fucking flips on him?
Is he ever going to know, though?
Sure.
Actually, you're true. If you're registered, they have access to your voter files.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you got
if you're registered to a party, I know one person in particular who was forced to choose a party
Really?
and then told, you will vote for this person.
What?
Yeah.
Like, in what situation?
Was that his voter
Like-
intimidation?
Yeah.
Well-
What the hell is that all about?
If I can't really get too deep into it, but yeah, I was sitting here like, they really can't do that because it's your God-given free will to you vote for whomever you want to vote for. That's your civic duty, and that's your right as a citizen of this lovely country.
Looks like
So they
Corey.
were forced to choose a party by whom? By like their employer or?
Pretty much.
Oh my God, that's like illegal. Like, duh, right?
Yeah, actually, especially in the workplace, that is very
yeah,
illegal.
that's like super illegal.
Not by their employer, per se.
Okay, all
Like
right.
you said,
all
he
right.
can't really go into it, but
All
somebody's
right.
trapped behind a rope.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, I know this individual didn't follow suit and did his own
Okay.
thing. But
Great. Good for them. Good for
Oh,
them.
can't even. That's right. You can't even. New York, no senators are up, right? It's Jersey looks like it's going to be fucking.
Booker already won.
Yeah, Booker. Well, you say already won, but I'm sorry. 54% of the vote is not already won.
They've already given it to him.
Well, I don't give a shit who gave it to who.
All
Pass it
right. No,
through
that's fair.
5. I don't give a fuck. 54% of the vote in, and it's a 300,000 sway here. I don't want to hear it. Actually, it's a little more than that, but don't want to hear it. I don't buy that. I want to see fucking 80-90% of the vote in.
700,000 votes?
But there's fucking 9.1 million registered voters in Jersey.
Yep. And we're going to be lucky
They
if,
only got 1 million.
if the numbers have already come out. At less than 4 million is the largest turnout New Jersey has had of its populace.
Okay,
This election.
that means there's still
Less than 4 million. 3 million and change.
that means there's still 1 point something million votes to come in. That's so a third of the vote still has to come in. Stop it. Stop. A third of the vote. Stop it. I
And
want
that person would basically, yeah, but that other individual, the law of averages is against them.
1.5 million votes for Booker and less than a
Well,
million.
1.606 to 990 is what I have here.
I got 152 to 943.
Right. And that person would basically, Meta would need every single vote, which is unlikely.
Polone is your
Law of averages is against them.
Polone is your county.
Yeah, Plona is District 6.
Yeah, I see 6. I don't remember what district I am. It might be 7.
Don't you remember who was on your ballot? Go look for their name.
No, I mailed it in. How am I going to go look for their name?
You don't remember how you filled out your ballot?
Yeah, Republican, right down the line.
Oh, you're like my mother.
That's right.
Walk in, hit the switch, turn around, and walk out.
I voted party lines. The most important thing was flipping my ballot over and saying yes to weed.
That's
we
going to
start-
pass. That's
What-
going to pass. It's got
Well-
66% of the vote right now.
66% for mail-in. I don't know what it is now.
In New Jersey?
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's a referendum on the back of the ballot.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
going to
had,
pass.
I had
Our
two
governor
referendums.
put out a tweet today that said legalize it.
So what?
I had 2 referendums on my ballot, and both of them were to raise taxes.
Oh,
Oh
what?
man, I had no referendums at all. I was expecting something.
Yeah,
Well,
we had
so
we had
let me
one that said, "Do you want to give 300 million to the schools? If so, expect that to trickle down in tax increases of property tax, this and that, and the third." And then the other one was, "Do you want a 25% sales tax increase?"
See, this is bullshit too. This fucking state. Legal marijuana is 1.5 million votes to 770,000. So it's 67% yes. And then these fucks voted for question 2, the vet prop tax deduction, as yes? That's bullshit. Sorry.
Minute and a half?
Yeah, it's bullshit. Allow redistrict school change. That's bullshit too. You should have voted no to that. You want them to fucking bus your kids to somewhere else because there's no room? That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That was not my ballot.
Sure it was. It's question.
Wow.
It's on every.
Nope. Question 3 for me was had to do with the census.
NC is way too close to call.
Oh, right. That's the redistrict. Yeah, NC's going to be a barn burner overnight. That's the right. Question 3 was, that's right. You're absolutely right.
It had to do with
Still-
the census.
Still should have been a no.
Yeah, with 87% reporting, it's 49.5 to 49.3.
Yeah, your state is a swing state, man.
That
it's a fucking-
that is tight.
Yeah, you're a swing state.
Are you kidding me? Lindsey Graham got reelected?
Yeah. Are you?
I was convinced he was going to lose because the whole thing where like he was broke and he was on Fox News begging for money.
Dude, right now, our state's looking at the fact that we've got Tom Tillis who got COVID after telling everybody not to worry about it, and then we've got Cal Cunningham who was like, we need to solidify the family unit, and then got caught cheating on his wife.
Yeah, that guy's a fucking total complete fuck up.
Like that was our choices were shithead and a douchebag.
How did Lindsey Graham? I'm like, this is probably the most shocking thing I've seen yet. Lindsey Graham getting reelected.
All right, that is 10 o'clock for me.
Yes, Joe Jordan.
Oh.
Joe Jordan.
You can't stay because it's election night. You can have like an initial night special.
Joe Jorgensen, 1.1%.
Do you want your products? You want them to show up on time at your house? I have to sort them, and you'd be amazed how much New York, New Jersey stuff I see.
Oh, sure, you're
Okay.
on the hooks.
Hi.
Well, actually,
Alright.
we filter out to Charlotte, who's more of a major hub. But
8-Bit Bros, Tuesday, early edition, election night.
Election Tuesday.
Tune in
To
Thursday.
be continued.
Yeah, tune in Thursday when we'll try and figure out who actually won, and then you can tune in next week and we'll try and figure out who won, and then the week after that too.
Yeah,
Hopefully not
there
that
is
long.
yeah. Hopefully that is not an accurate statement. Hopefully we do find out a
Yeah.
little bit sooner than that, but the potential is definitely there. And then for the contention that'll follow all the way up until the inauguration, that is also possibly a thing. If this is
Yep.
very close, which like if North Carolina is an indicator of how close it may possibly be, you know, so there's that. But stay tuned for the next couple episodes where we continue the social media obligatory standpoint. Where do they stand? What is it? What rights do they have to govern what you hear? And we'll continue on that as the weeks go on.
Yes, I love that.
65.8 million votes casted so far. I hope that we were 1% of those people who listened to us and went out and voted. If you did, thank you. 8-Bit Bros Tuesday. We're out. Peace.
Later.